Well, welcome to another video on the Manta. We're replacing this bit of front chassis section here. What started out as a bit of a repair has become a full fabrication job and replacing quite a fair section of it. And at first glance, it looked like it was going to be a nightmare. It looked like it was going to be, there's a few different shapes in there. But actually turned out to be fairly simple and straightforward enough to do. So keep watching, you'll see how we overcome that. Next bit is also a bit ropey. I can put my finger through there, which is not good. So let's get the disc on that. This is going to involve some of that upside down welding I hate so much. Oh yes, that's quite nasty indeed. Okay, let's see what we can do with that then. That's had a rather unpleasant effect on that. Oh dear. Yes, that is quite bad, to be fair. This doesn't bode well for the rest of the car, I gotta say. Right, so the battle plan is start from underneath, so that this side is reasonably okay. Put the camera in there. This new phone doesn't like to focus very well. There we go. It's just surface rust, the worst of it in there, so that's good news. From underneath, if the wind doesn't mask my voice too much, from underneath we'll start from back here, cut there, replace this flat panel underneath it, goes up a little bit there and back around here, work our way down. We'll have to do this slightly piecemeal here because we've got a bit of a funny shape going on here where it comes down to pick up the front bumpers. Once I got this underside in place, I can then cut out this. So I bring the underside to here and then cut out from here and work my way down to that bit. Up inside there isn't too horrendous, so that's good news. We can just get some paint up in there to hold back the worst of that for the time being. So the idea now is cap off that bottom piece and then start working our way around. I just cut it in 2-inch strip and we'll work it along as we go. So there's a bit of a funny shape underneath here that is going to be a challenge to do something with. So what I think I'll do is probably weld it flat across to there and see if I can bump that up with a hammer and somehow get into that to weld it. I might have to take the alternator and stuff off first, but it's just a case of crack on and see what we come up against. Right, that's the worst of the upside down welding done. That's the most, well, I'm saying that, and there's probably going to be worse, but we'll come back to that. So what I'm going to do now is trim this off tight to this edge, and then make this piece along here. So I trim this off and then cut this about here somewhere and just work fill in the gaps. Yeah. Okay, as an added unexpected bonus, I can now get in there with the welder to go in the gaps I missed, and I'm not upside down. Happy days. Hopefully you can see what's going on here now. You can see I've slowly warped this piece into place and trimmed it as we've gone. So I can now fully weld across this corner now and fully weld across the top there. And then that's that section there sorted. We can then work our way down to this section. That's as far to go for one evening. It's getting on for nearly 8:15 in the evening now, so time to stop and go in and have a relax. But there you get the idea of where we're going. So this section here now, we'll start working away along here next. So we'll be cutting that piece out there and making our piece to go up in there. There's a bit of a shallow radius on that, so we'll have to work that out as we get to it. You can see how our funny shape is in there. With a bit of a grinder and a bit of a clean up, that should come okay. Time for a little bit of a rethink along here. All of this is going to need replacing all the way along here. Now it's not as difficult to do as it might first seem, but to get access to it, this front valance is going to have to come off. This is going to be right in the way. That's not as difficult either as you might first think. It's just a case of I got a replacement good quality valance, and this one is actually quite ropey. It looks better than it is, but on close inspection there's been a couple of dodgy repairs on it, so you just cut it off and start again. So just cut along that line there to leave that flange on. This in the panel needs some repairs doing to it, but not horrendously so. Same over that side, just cut that off, and it's hanging on by a hair's breadth onto what's left of this panel here, and this obviously needs some repairs there as well. So this actually is already almost hanging off. You can see I could probably just yank it off if I really wanted to, but by taking this off, it's going to give us better access to repairing this front chassis leg. Now you see it's got all sorts of funny shapes to it, but lots of those funny shapes have come from previous poor repairs. So if we come around to the other side, you'll see actually that's just a simple semicircle that tapers off into nothing into there, and that good old silicone tube is about the same diameter as silicone tube, which is 2 inches or thereabouts. So simply a case of pulling a bit of steel around a former, that old bit of exhaust pipe I got will be perfect for that, to make the replacement part for that side. But before we do that, let's take this front valance off and that gave us a fair bit of extra access. Well, that came off quite easily, and you can see now why I'm not too concerned about this. It's all quite rotten in behind there. Nasty repair again in there. You can just, I don't know if you can just about see that on the video, there's a bump on there with the first full of filler. And what that does now, by removing that, it gives us considerably better access to sorting out this front chassis leg. So we'll crack on with that next, and then the next challenge will be reinstating something here. Now there is a whole full-on chassis leg arrangement here that goes down. All that's doing is going to grab the bottom of the radiator over there, which is leaking. But I'll probably simplify that and just have a bit of box section coming off the face of this down to pick that up for now, and until I can come up with a better solution. But that's what we'll do with that. But that's later down the line. Let's worry about this this bit of chassis section first. Okie doke. Right, we're getting there. So I'm going to clean this up. This is solid enough behind there, just needs surface rust cleaning off of it. Then build a piece all the way across the front here with an inch lip poking out. So it's 2.5 inches by 1. So I need to build a piece 2.5 inches, or just over 2.5 inches, because we've got a lip to go over there as well. So it's sort of got to be Z-shaped to fit in there. I'm going to put a swage on it so it'll overlap onto that and tack it onto there. From that side then I can weld it up against that, so that'll be nice and strong in there, and it will tuck up behind here and weld to the face of what's up behind there. So spot onto there, spot onto there. I'll remake this piece afterwards and bring it forward, so that'll put a bit of strength back into there. Right, so we need a piece which is 13 inches long. To there. And 4.25 deep in totals. Of that, you want an inch. Inch fold on the bottom of that. That swaged. And 2.5 up from that. Take us to there. Now this will be folded and messed about with in separate directions, which will work out when we get back to the car. Right, let's cut that out. Right, that's my first bend. Go to the car now and work out where to put slits in this, because one needs to bend over and one needs to straight up. Right, so this one needs to bend that way, this one needs to bend this way, and this one needs to go straight up. So let's see what we can do with that. Right, I will see how that looks on the car. Before I do that, I should put a swage on this really, so I know where I'm working from there as well. Oh, swaging tool, happy days. Right, there you go. So that'll swage. I'll clean, don't worry about the rest, I will clean that off before I fit it and put weld through prime on it. So there's a swage in it. That's basically the idea for that. So it will pinch weld up onto there. You can see the line which it's supposed to go onto. And I'll spot weld it into that side. And if I can, the plan is to seam weld it down there. And then pinch weld it, spot weld it, pinch weld it along there, or plug weld it along there as well. Right, so I'll clean this up now and give it a coat of weld through primer. Same in there, I give all that a good clean up and some weld through primer too. Right, I got this all plugged out, ready for plug welding and faffing about. And because I've taken a fair bit out of here, this now has a bit of movement on it, which will interfere with the bonnet line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clamp this all in place where it needs to be, and put the bonnet back down, chuck the wing back on, just to double check that we haven't lost any alignment here. So we'll do that first. We'll get this clamped in place and then see where we are. Okay, we are good there. We can weld that in place. We know where that's in the right place now, so we can start pointing it in. That's that bit welded in. Got the blobs on this side. They look pretty horrendous, but they're just backing up the plug welds on the other side as well. Just a bit of extra strength in there. Plug welds there, and I fully welded down from the other side as well. You can see that's penetrated quite nicely. Now there's a bit here to mess about with. See where this curls down here, so all I'm going to do is get a slitting disc, pull that out of the way, get a slitting disc in straight across there now, and then butt weld those two together. Right, that's that bit tied into there now, so that's put some strength back into that. That stopped this lot from wobbling around unduly. It's all back to being that one with the car again. So the next bit is going to be making this section along here, and then we'll do the quarter round that goes in there to make up that shape. So I'm going to go over to the other side now, measure up the piece we need, cut it out, make it, and back that into place. Right, so this is the next piece. It's 2 inches in total, with a 1/2 inch small lip on it, hook welds in it, holes ready for the bumper mounts, and that is going to tuck in around there somewhere. I'm going to be fiddle about with this a little bit to get it backwards and forwards, but weld it to there, and probably weld it over there, we lap weld it over that, tap it back as and when we get to it. And I'll do this. What I'm going to do this side first, because this is the bit that matters, and then work my way back over there. Right, lovely, that's nice and strong now. So the next challenge is to do this semicircle effort into there to box it all off. Got a piece here now, about 4 inches depth, about 17 inches long. I want to put a 2-inch roll on this. So what I'm going to try and do is roll it around this bit of exhaust tube, which is just less than 2 inches, but hopefully by the time it springs back again, while it tight that, by the time it springs back again, it'll be around 2 inches. That's my theory. And then we'll cut it to suit. There's one way to find out. Let's have a crack at it and see what turns up. Right, I don't think we're not far away from that actually, where we want it. Let's try and get that just a little bit more. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's get a silicone tube and see if it's about the right diameter. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right, so we can chuck that on the car now, mark up where we want it, and then cut it to shape and weld it in. Right, so the idea of this piece is that's going to tuck into there, like so, to make our piece that we need to tuck into there. So what we need to do is trim over that side just a little bit, and we're on the winner. Right, there we go. Chop that out of there. Then that should fit snugly into there. Right then, the wind is getting up a bit now, so I'm hoping you can still hear me. But there's the piece trimmed off. So that should now fit into there quite nicely. You see now, basic idea. I don't worry too much about painting that with weld through beforehand because I can get a good spray down into there anyway. But that's the basic idea. And just knock the heads off these now and give that a bit of paint. And that's that chassis rail repaired. Some of the bits and bobs still left to do underneath here to faff about with, but nothing too exciting. There we go. Hopefully you can see that now, how that has come along. Oh, a bit of welding to finish what's there, but I'll do that now. So I'll finish up a bit of welding, knock the tops off of that with a grinder, and get a bit of paint on that. Right, so I'll trim this down now to come so it's flush with the front of that. See, it's all sticking out from there. I've done that on purpose, so we can just cut that round now, and that'll be nice and neat. At first glance, going to be a really difficult repair because of all the funny shapes in it. It actually wasn't that bad after all. Right, the flap disc on there now and give this a clean up. All done with a nice coat of black, so that's all strengthened back up again in there, and I've done a repair underneath on that as well. So that's that chassis leg section complete. On to the next bits. Thanks again for watching, and thanks for those that subscribe. It does a big help. Please subscribe if you don't already. Now you'll see that that's all come up. It's all nice and coated in black now. Been like it for a day or so now, so it's nice and hardened off. It's come alright. Quite pleased with that. It was not nearly as bad as it first looked. As you saw during the video, various ways of making things fit, including silicone tubes. So it's amazing what you can do with what you got kicking about. And that's the key. Just use what you got kicking about. You know, no good waiting and forking out big money for offcuts of cars and or new parts from Germany. These chassis legs are pretty expensive if you can get hold of them. But repair if you can, and it's quite easy to find things to mould around and work out how to make things, as long as you view things in two-dimensional, and when you fit the two-dimensional pieces together you end up with a nice, fairly complex three-dimensional part. For an upcoming video we have some nastiness here, and here, and here, and here, and sort of everywhere. So keep watching. Keep looking out for the next videos coming. Show you how to repair this.